Video games are pretty cool. I think everyone can admit to that. The ability to immerse yourself in a virtual reality and play out fantasies otherwise completely unknown to us is something that will always draw in new people. Whether you want to live out being the #1 Pokemon trainer in the world or become the most profitable truck driver in all of Europe, the stories at our fingertips allow us to build connections to fictional characters and escape from things that could be stressful in our real lives. A lot of the franchises I grew up playing as a kid to escape from things in my life were kinda built around something referred to as the rule of cool. It's a trope in fiction that's defined on the idea that you can break the lore or logical consistency of your franchise to have a scene or character that does something cool. When someone wants something in their franchise that's cool, even though it's kinda stupid, they'll do the cool thing, and afterwards just tell anyone who questions it, rule of cool. In that way, you can basically just consider it the anti-MatPat plot device. As an example, let's look at a franchise that I grew up with. Halo is a story that expressly follows the rule of cool as often as it can. Halo is described best as an epic space opera that tells a story about a war to save the galaxy. While yes, it has its sad moments, scary moments, and funny moments, it's a first-person shooter from the 2000s. Its largest focus is on things that are cool, even if they don't really make a massive amount of sense if you think about them for a little bit. Halo 2 is the first game I ever played, and was the first time I was exposed to a cutscene where Master Chief takes a bomb, gets sucked out of a cargo hold, manages to float through space, dodging a massive space battle, activates the bomb in a Covenant supercarrier, and jumps out of the ship just as it explodes, only to somehow land on a UNSC frigate that also just so happens to be the In Amber Clad, which Master Chief needs to be on so he can get a ride down to Earth and fight a scarab in New Mombasa. This level of disbelief you need to suspend isn't even an outlier in this game or the franchise as a whole. It's always been this way. Let's go back to Halo 1. How the fuck does Captain Keyes know how to fly a Covenant ship? Simulation's my ass, bro. It was cool if he crushed a hunter in a cutscene. There's an entire webpage dedicated to how the final mission of the game makes no sense because the Warthog run should have ended after like 10 seconds. Because the actual length of the Autumn is 1/5 of the track you drive on and is going in the opposite direction of where the hangar bays are. But you aren't thinking about any of this while you're playing because the Warthog run is pretty much this game's quintessential moment. The grand finale of this massive adventure you've been on for the last few hours. Bungie did this to bring you a story that's more epic and enjoyable instead of something realistic and grounded. I'm sure Halo CE would have still been held as a revolutionary, industry-defining masterpiece if the game ended after you beat 343 Guilty Spark and flew away from the Autumn safely without any of the drama or flair, but that drama and flair is infinitely more interesting for everyone involved and is a decision I'm glad they made. The same goes for Sergeant Johnson. As a character in the story, he was literally just a Marine that was always around to say quotable lines, but Bungie liked him so much they wanted to keep his character and give him a larger role in the franchise. One small issue is that Halo's legendary ending killed him off. So how do you write around this? How did Johnson survive the explosion?
Sorry, Guns. It's classified.
Get a funny scene in, he says a cool line, and you can sell a book about what actually happened afterwards. Everyone wins. And it's not entirely that logic or lore doesn't matter for a story. World building is an important aspect in any story and can greatly enhance your experience consuming it. I'm just saying it's cooler when Miranda Keyes in a cutscene says we're going
to war
in response to the question of where she should direct her troops, and then awkwardly walks back down the stairs in-game to start giving actual orders, instead of her just saying, like north or something, we need to go shut down this AA gun. I'd much rather the Forward Unto Dawn make this insane entrance set to some crazy music as opposed to it just landing normally with absolutely no flair. Okay, so I think you get it. The rule of cool exists, but the drawback of this is that you can only use this rule on things that are actually cool. Throwing out random bullshit and being like, rule of cool actually, doesn't work because the stuff thrown out was straight ass. Doom, as a franchise, is a great example that adopted this rule and adapted itself into the modern age over time. Doom in the 90s was definitely a franchise that lived by the rule, don't get me wrong. You start the game by being dropped into a room full of demons and you learn pretty quickly that these guys are not your friends, as squishy and friendly as they might look. Doom doesn't go out of its way to explain much to you, mostly because it doesn't really need to. Doom Guy, that's literally his name, kills demons because they killed his pet rabbit. It's powerful motivation. But after Doom 3 came out, id, I assume, looked back and was like, well, we made the game we wanted to get across originally but couldn't due to technical restrictions, but what about that version of Doom we left behind? That non-stop, in-your-face, bloody, gory action is what id was looking to add in their next installment of the Doom franchise, after a little hiccup, but we don't talk about what Doom 2016 was originally going to be. Instead, we got Doom 2016 as we know it today, and thank God, man, that other Doom looked bad, like really bad. I'm sorry if you actually wanted this, but oh my God. It took what little aspects Doom had and not only expanded them, but added on to them. You no longer just kill demons, you to relentlessly slaughter demons. Someone who was once known as the Doom Guy is now known as
The Doom Slayer.
You're friends with Dr. Samuel Hayden, who is a robot with a strangely sexy voice. See a woman get turned into a huge spider monster that has a turret for a body, and the soundtrack has gone from the most badass riffs a MIDI could produce to actual kick-ass metal that I listen to on a daily basis. All of this, and we still get to keep the stuff about the bunny. It's impressive just how good of a job it did with these games. Another franchise, in my eyes, that uses the rule perfectly is Devil May Cry. I mean, considering it was made by the same guy who made Resident Evil 2, Okami, and Bayonetta, perhaps it's impossible Devil May Cry could be bad. And it isn't, obviously. I am yet to play the first 4, they're definitely on my list now, but I picked up DMC5 recently because of a video I had recommended to me, and wow. How is this not the literal embodiment of the rule of cool? And while Devil May Cry is definitely over the top to the extreme, it all works because it's actually cool and isn't too up its own ass to not be able to take its serious moments seriously. Inversely, DMC Devil May Cry, the reboot, has a confusing name, definitely doesn't earn any of its cool moments. The character is named Dante, but has none of his charm and is just an asshole. Dude doesn't even have Dante's hair and instead just insults it in an early cutscene. Like, bro, you're going to insult fucking Dante? Devil May Cry Dante. Never in a million years. My ass, bro. First and foremost, never insult his looks again. He is infinitely more dripped out than you could ever hope to be. And secondly, your hair turns white towards the end of the fucking game anyways, so what was the point of the insult? I mean, the game sucked ass anyway, as far as I'm aware. I know it's gotten a lot of flack already, but it's one of the greatest examples of the rule of cool's downfall. Honestly, of all the examples I had lined up for this explanation, from Resident Evil 6 to Duke Nukem Forever, the best ones I could talk about are any Tetsuya Nomura games. Now wait, just hear me out. I'm begging, Kingdom Hearts fans. I don't think the games are bad. The only one I might even consider bad is Strangers of Paradise, but that's only because of what I've heard about it. I haven't played it yet. I just think that this man's story writing is insane, but you don't need me to tell you that. A story that spans across like 4 different consoles, 13 games, and every single one is integral to understand the full plot. It's not even that the rule gets broken, if that's the word for it. It's that this man uses it so much on characters that are so hard to take seriously. The dialogue for all of these characters is so fucking stupid, and that's not when a Disney character is on screen. Look at Mickey Mouse. He looks stupid. This is supposed to be a big moment. All of this isn't to say that realism in a game is bad, or that it's bad if a game or franchise consistently stays within the confines of the reality it sets up to tell a story that doesn't have to make you suspend your disbelief. If you enjoy your games being like that, or even just enjoy them being realistically based simulators, that's not wrong. I mentioned Euro Truck Simulator in this video offhandedly, and while I don't personally see the draw in coming home from your job only to log on and essentially just work a whole other job driving around cargo for a fictional company, I'm not the sole arbiter of enjoyment. Truck on, trucker man. Hopefully one day I'll adopt the rule of cool into my own videos. And hey, maybe you can live by the rule of cool in your own life. Because the rule isn't limited to video games. It's a thing in any other form of media you can think of. Kill la Kill, One Punch Man, and Dragon Ball are all anime defined by their uses of it. So follow the rule of cool by subscribing to my channel and clicking on the playlist below to hear more of my horrid opinions.